Welcome everybody to today's practice. Starting in the seated position today, taking a big deep breath in as we raise our arms overhead and bringing our palms to prayer position at heart center as we set our intention today. For those following along at home, this is day 7 of our 365 days of yoga. What an amazing week it's been. Just taking a big deep breath in, bringing hands back to heart center. And then we're just going to put the soles of our feet together, bringing our heels towards our pelvis and taking the spine really long, straight arms, and just sinking into the sit bones as we push our knees towards the ground. Closing down the eyes and just finding some silence. And take 3 deep breaths in here. And on the exhale, we're going to exhale out the mouth with some noise. Just releasing any tension before moving in to our next pose. So bringing both legs straight, tucking the right knee up and over the left leg and hugging that knee in towards the chest as we look to the side and taking that right arm back behind us. Fingertips making contact with the earth. I'm just getting a beautiful twist here in the torso. We should feel this stretch in our glute. And we don't have to overdo this. We don't have to twist all the way around. And then unraveling, bringing the left leg over the right outstretched leg now. And pulling that knee in towards the chest as we rotate in the opposite direction. Making sure we're sitting nice and tall. Imagining a piece of string is coming from our crown up towards the sky and it's pulling us up nice and tall. And taking your drishti, your gaze, out as far as you can, focusing on something in the distance. And then unraveling as we take both legs out long. This time we're going to tuck the right leg, bring the right heel into our pelvis. Take the left leg long on an angle. Take a deep breath in and on the exhale, bending down towards our toes. And some of you are probably a lot more flexible than I am and might be able to touch the toes or flex the foot back towards the head as we raise our right arm up and over. Taking a deep breath in and on the exhale, sinking a little bit further down. See even if you can get those fingertips closer to the feet. And just taking a moment to breathe here, feeling that beautiful stretch, not just in the hamstring, but in the side of the body. As we change sides, so this time bringing the left leg, the left heel into the pelvis, sitting nice and tall, inhaling, and on the exhale, moving our right arm down our right leg and finding that beautiful stretch in the hamstring. And on the inhale, bringing our left arm up and over. And just taking a few deep breaths here. And then on the exhale, sinking down a little bit deeper into this stretch. You should be feeling this through the obliques, through the hamstring, maybe even a little bit lower into the calf. And then on the exhale, coming out. Now both legs are going to go wide out on an angle, sitting tall. And then on the exhale, forward folding, grabbing those ankles as we take our forehead towards the ground. Now, if you have a block or a blanket, you can sit it under the hip bones and you'll be able to get even further with this stretch. Feel free to walk the hands forward or come down onto the forearms. Whatever's comfortable, but not pushing past those limits. I'm just taking a moment to find some stillness in this stretch. As we walk our hands over to the left side, taking a big deep breath here. Breathing in, and on the exhale, sinking deeper into the pose. Inhaling, coming back to center. Exhaling, going across to the right side now. Inhaling, exhaling, sinking deeper into this stretch. And then coming back to center on the inhale and slowly walking our hands back in towards the body. Stretching the legs out, just giving them a bit of a shake. We're just going to come onto our knees now and give our feet a bit of a stretch. So tucking the toes under, I'm going to sit back onto our heels and sit up nice and tall and straight and just stretching through the bottom of our feet. You might find that one is tighter than the other. Just taking a moment just to tune in. Notice any tight spots. Focusing on our breath here. And then coming into tabletop position. Untucking the toes and coming into our first downward facing dog. Pedaling out the legs if that feels good for you. Just dropping the head so the head feels heavy. Remembering to breathe in downward facing dog. And then we're going to come straight into our pigeon pose. So bending the left leg up on a 90-degree angle and taking the right leg long. Now this might be enough of a stretch for you. Having straight arms. Or if you want to go a little bit deeper, you can come down onto your forearms. Or if you want to take it one step further, you can bring your head down on top of your arms or to the mat. I woke up this morning and my left hip just felt so out of alignment. And that's why I chose to do all these hip and glute stretches today. So I hope you're feeling the benefit of them as well. Just coming back up onto the hands, tucking that right foot under, left leg long, pedaling the legs out, and then we're going to change sides, bringing the right leg up, and then taking the left leg long, untucking the toes. And you can stay up on your hands if you like. Taking a few deep breaths or coming onto your forearms. Just quietening down the mind. On each exhale, just try and sink a little bit deeper. Maybe melt the hips towards the mat a little bit more. As you get a deeper stretch in and around the hip and pelvic area. Okay, slowly coming back up, tucking the toe, kicking that right leg back long and bringing it down to meet the left in downward facing dog. Taking a couple of deep breaths here. Maybe nodding the head front to back or side to side. And we're just going to bring our knees to the mat, keeping our legs together, dropping back onto those heels into our child pose position. Just gently resting our forehead on the mat. And just becoming one here. Body, mind, spirit, and connecting with earth. In the book Light on Life, they talk about the yogic journey, which guides us from our periphery, the body, to the center of our being, which is the soul. So we want to make sure that we're making that connection between the physical body and the different levels or sheaths known as the kosas. And when we do that, we have harmony, and that's where we achieve wholeness. So just coming out of the child's pose now. And we're just going to just turn to the side and take the feet out wide on a 45-degree angle as we come down into this yogic squat. Just finding some movement in the hips and then coming into a seated yoga squat position, hands at the heart center. And then slowly just place the hands on the floor, mat, earth in front of you. I'm finding a beautiful stretch here as we're forward folding over our legs. Getting a nice stretch in the hamstrings. You might want to hold on to your elbows. Maybe move side to side. You can't really tell, but my legs are slightly bent in this pose, which you can do as well. And then bringing our hands back to the earth and then coming down into a seated position before we lower down onto our back. I'm going to go into child's pose here after we give our knees a little hug. We're going to wrap our fingers around our big toes and just taking the legs out wide. Just finding some comfort here in our happy baby. I think I called it child's pose before, but it's actually happy baby. I'm just taking a couple of deep breaths here. And then when you're ready, just releasing the hands or releasing the toes. And just keeping the legs wide and bringing the hands to the knees. Just find some stillness here as we find a little bit of balance in our nervous system and our spine. You might want to do some circles or bring the legs forward and backwards. Just really feeling that beautiful stretch in and around the hips, which is where we store a lot of emotion. Bringing the legs together, giving them another hug. And now we're going to take the feet to the floor before stretching them out long and coming into our final resting pose, our savasana. So just make sure that you're taking the shoulders away from the ears. Legs and arms long. You can face the palms up or down if you need to feel a little bit more grounded. Taking a couple of deep breaths before just letting your breath sink into normal rhythm. And just taking a moment here to recognize that the physical body is not separate from our mind and soul. It's actually integrated. And the aim of yoga is to discover our immortal self. It teaches us to live fully, physically and spiritually. And I hope that that's what you get out of your practice and your yoga journey. Just taking one last deep breath here. Before bringing some movement back in the body. If you want to stay in Savasana a little bit longer, please do. You can press pause on the video. Otherwise, maybe stretching the arms up overhead, stretching the feet away from the body, and then coming into the fetal position on one side before slowly rolling up back into our seated pose. Keeping the eyes closed, finding some lengthening in the spine, shoulders away from the ears. We're going to take a big inhale as we raise the arms up and overhead, bringing our hands to prayer position as we bring them to our third eye. May we have kind and loving thoughts today. Lowering them to our lips, may we speak kind and loving words today. As we lower them to our heart space, may we have kind and loving intentions today. Thank you for joining me in this practice. Have the most blissful day. Namaste.